an acronym for dyslexic. It's actually the Outback Oral Health Treatment Program. If you think about it, is toot, not tooth, but tooth sounds better. But what's innovative about this is not the nature of the funding. It's the Gonski Foundation and Investec, the investment company, putting in $2.5 million each to support a not-for-profit, the Royal Flying Doctor Service, to go and provide healthcare, dental healthcare, in Outback New South Wales. What's interesting about it isn't the funding itself, but the way it's being used, because if you think about it, what you've got is Investec through corporate social responsibility, David Gonski through personal philanthropy, actually going out to do a demonstration to government of what are the public and social benefits that can come from this intervention. It's a way it's going out and doing what you might expect government to do, to essentially have a pilot at their expense.
Peter, we should go back to politics for a moment as well, because, you know, the line at the moment from Julia Gillard, the Prime Minister, is they're getting on with the job. Yep. And we hope so, but certainly that Mark Butler, the Minister for Social Inclusion, has been getting on with the job. New volunteering arrangements have been announced by him.
Here's the story, Mark 1 and Mark 2. The first is Mark Butler. He is the new Minister for Social Inclusion. He's released a document which is called Supporting and Strengthening Volunteer Organisations. Now, you know, if you're in politics, the words supporting and strengthening send out alarm bells. What does this really mean?
Yeah.
What it really means is there is funding for volunteer resource centres in 32 regions around Australia, disadvantaged metropolitan areas, and then a national project fund. But here's the crunch. The National Project Fund, which is going to be for resourcing and training volunteers, that money is coming out from money that previously went to the peak organisations like Volunteering Australia. So it's supporting and strengthening, well, and also actually moving the money around. So there's quite a question mark about how effective this is going to be.
Mark 2?
And then Mark 2, Mark Abib, of course,
yes,
who has now stepped down. It's worth remembering that he was the Minister for Indigenous Employment, he was the Minister for Social Housing and Homelessness before he was the Assistant Treasurer. And if you look back on his time as a minister, you'd have to say here was a minister who was genuinely committed in terms of Indigenous employment and employment opportunities for people with a disability. I think he'll be a bit of a loss in that regard.
Yeah. Also, we should say Julia Gillard has made an announcement on the disability scheme, the National Disability Scheme. So hopefully this is something that can be kind of pushed into a very positive light.
It's really interesting when the Prime Minister is now saying, now we haven't got over that, what went on in the last week. We're now get on with doing the real business of government. One of the issues she has latched onto is the National Disability Insurance Scheme. We had the Productivity Commission report, obviously saying it's going to need about $3.6 billion a year to provide long-term care and support to probably more than 400,000 Australians. The key is getting up this disability insurance scheme. And so it's very interesting. She's made this, in a sense, part of her agenda to show that this is a government that's getting on with doing things.